Hello and welcome to the Elder Tree podcast. My name is Tatiana Dawn. I'm the founder of the Elder Tree and Alchemilla Herbals, and I reside on Jitterbug land here in far north Queensland. You are listening to the Herbal Education segment, where each new moon I invite a myriad of plant wisdom keepers to chat about the world of herbal education, about their passions and motivations, and their dreams for the future of herbal medicine education in Australia. This podcast is brought to you by the Elder Tree, a non-for-profit organisation whose mission is putting the medicine in the hands of the people. One of the ways that we are doing this is through this podcast. If you would like to go deeper with the podcast journey while supporting the Elder Tree for as little as $2 per week, then you can become a member of our Patreon. Thanks to all of the people and plants who have helped to make this podcast possible. Hello everybody, and many blessings on this new moon and the eve before the spring equinox. It's a very potent day actually. I don't know how many out there of you are feeling this, but this morning I woke up at dawn just as the solar eclipse was happening, and it was a really, really interesting energy. And it was just 2 weeks ago we had the lunar eclipse on the full moon. And I don't know if many of you follow this kind of thing, but often when there's two eclipses in close succession like this, it's a pretty interesting time, and it's a really good time to be really clear in where you're shooting your arrows, and to be really like kind of clear in who you are and be sure-footed in your walk, because you can really have a wobble. And my day was, I was recording this. I was sitting down recording it. The next thing I knew, there was a truck being delivered at the Elder Tree Medicine Gardens of bark mulch. So I ran off to do that and ended up in a little whirlwind in Mullumbimby. And here I am. It's the evening, so this episode is coming out a bit late. My apologies. So this episode is actually a special one. It's just a little overview of my segment, of the Herbal Education segment on the Elder Tree podcast. And it's just a little look over this last solar cycle since the last spring equinox. And it's just basically a little review, it's a little oversight, a little look ahead. And basically our podcast as a whole is incredible. I'm so proud of all of the presenters. I'm so awestruck by all of the incredible people that are coming onto this show as a whole. And if you tune in tomorrow, where we've got a special bonus episode coming your way, where all four of us presenters present about the beautiful motherwort and also give a bit of an overview of the podcast as a whole. But for now, for this episode, I'm just going to focus on my little segment, my humble little herbal education segment that's been going for 3 years now. So it's our 3rd birthday tomorrow, and it's been incredible to see the amount of people that have come on here and what they've shared, and it's quite a personal journey for me. So it's going to give a little bit of insight into that. So since the last spring equinox, the first person that I interviewed was Dawn Whitten. And she's so inspirational. Dawn's amazing. She's been co-owning Gould's down in Tasmania for the last 18 years. She's a lactation expert and specializes in assisting families with pregnancy and postpartum. And it was really beautiful to get a bit of an insight into her world and her background, and hear a bit about how she blends together the academic realms of herbal medicine with her down-to-earth approach. Dawn's father, Greg, is my biggest herbal hero in Australia, and his book Herbal Harvest is like that book that one of those things that I would grab on the way out the door if there was a fire. And in fact, just that whole family is just so inspirational to me. So little did I know when I was interviewing her that as a matter of months later, I was going to move down to northern New South Wales and live pretty much right around the corner, and that my daughter was going to be in her daughter's class in Steiner, and they were going to be in soccer team together. And it's funny how the world works sometimes. But that was a really beautiful discussion with Dawn. She's got such a depth of knowledge, a really grounded perspective, and I recommend listening to that episode. The next one was with Dominique Livkamal, actually, from the Medicine Room in Sunshine Coast. And that was really interesting. It was like this whole discussion on stealth pathogens. And then I ended up enrolling in her 5-week stealth pathogen program. And I'm actually just kind of a little bit quietly, I'm a bit of a geek on parasites. I find them quite fascinating, and often the elephant in the room with a lot of chronic illness. And I did her 5-week course after the episode, and it was amazing. It was really good. I highly recommend it. Dominique's amazing teacher and practitioner, and been running her thriving business for decades, and highly recommend checking them out if you're ever down that way or up that way, depending on where you are. The next person that I interviewed was Val Iwasco, who is, like I say, the grandfather of herbal medicine in Mullumbimby. And since that interview, actually, Val's become my boss. So I'm now working at Mullum Herbals, and about to start working at I've been working at Bruns Herbals, and I'm about to start working at Mullum Herbals, because he owns both of those amazing clinic shops. They're so special. They're like over-the-counter acute consultation, like free, amazing advice over the counter from like a team of practitioners, and all of their, pretty much all of their tinctures that they have there that they dispense has been made locally, as mostly as percolated. I've been blessed to, since that interview with Val, I've been blessed to get to go and help out with their tincture making on quite a few days. And it's really, really, really special what they're creating. If you're ever down that way, make sure you go check it out. It's a really good model for like community clinics, community care. And it's a really beautiful team they've got there. And Val's he's really got his heart in the right place, the way that he wants to support people. The amount of university students he's had come through that place and support them in a kind of internship way is really incredible. There's not many places in Australia that do that. So that was a great interview. And then the next interview was actually with the Elliot Brinkley from Dancing Willow Herbs in America. And so that was my first time actually welcoming in someone from overseas. And that was beautifully insightful and really interesting to explore some of the similarities and differences in the herbal education world in both of our countries. The next one was Taj Sakluna. Finally got her onto the show from Botanical Education, the artist formerly known as Perma Pixie. She's amazing. Has so much to share, and a really unique perspective, a really unique slant on in the herbal education realms. She's a very passionate herbalist, and she's also comes from a line of bookbinders, and I've been really loving watching that space with her blending in the herbs into the book creation space. So check her out there, Botanical Education. Check out what she's creating. She's teaching people how to bind their own herb books. And just as a little teaser, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this yet, but Taj is actually about to start coming on the show as a presenter. She's going to be co-presenting the permaculture herbalism segment on the podcast, and doing that with Tennille Christensen, which is great for her to get to have a little rest, as she's still in newborn baby land there. So it's nice to have the amazing new team member coming into the team. I'll probably tell you more about that in tomorrow's episode. And then the next person that I interviewed was Kerry Oakes, who a lot of our talk was around community herbalism and around her PhD. And she's actually, since that discussion, she's jetting off around the world, going to have a look at different free community clinic models. And I'm really interested to see what her research reveals. I haven't seen any research in this particular area, and I think it's going to have a lot of benefits in years to come, and it's also going to help a lot of different organizations get funding for their community clinics, because she'll be able to bring about some statistics and facts and observations from her visiting different countries. So really cheer on Kerry and all of the amazing work, community herbalism work that she does. The next person that I interviewed was Benjamin Turrell, and yeah, he's an incredible alchemist, and like a proper alchemist, and a amazing alchemy teacher, teaching alchemy and spagyrics. And having that interview with him really ignited something in me, reignited a dormant passion for alchemy and spagyrics that I'd kind of put aside, put back on the bookshelf, and more focusing on my simples herbalism. I'm a simpler. I like one herb at a time. I work in a very simplistic manner with the way that I grow and harvest and make medicine, which is still, the end result is a very potent medicine, and it's different. It's a different kind of potency. But in talking with him, it got me really romanticized in the history of things and just the complexity, that weaving of philosophy and ancient arts and the occult and and herbalism and science, and exploring the roots of chemistry, the roots of modern science. And so that was a really fun interview. And then my next interview was with Christopher Smith. Again, I had to have him come on again, and I think we'll probably have him come on a few more times. He's from Tinderi Mountain Herbs, and he's, for any of you that have listened to the interviews with him, you would know that him and I share a passion for wanting to see Australia become self-sufficient in our herb production and stop relying on so much import from overseas. And for him, it's especially around the endangered and rare and endangered species. He says that he asserts that we shouldn't have to be importing those plants. We just need to learn to grow them. And so that's what he specializes in, growing a lot of the rare and endangered plants, and then teaching other people to grow them. And that conversation with Christopher kicked me back into action to organize this herb farm tour down in Tasmania, down in Lutruwita, that's now happening in December. And so that's all booked and planned and happening, and I'm taking a tour of farmers down there to do a herb farm tour and medicine making tour, so that they can all get upskilled and be able to produce high vitality, high potency, and larger quantities of herbal medicine to work towards this goal of having Australia be more self-sufficient with our herb production. So yeah, it's funny, just these little trails, and it's almost like every episode marks a certain point and leads me on my next little chapter, little adventure. So yeah, that episode with Christopher just reignited that passion and got that tour moving again. And then the next person that I interviewed was Jessie Leith from Enki in Daylesford, Victoria, and that was great. That was a long time coming, actually. We've been trying to make that happen for a while. And again, Jessie I think it was actually my interview with Benjamin that motivated me to get back onto the conversation with Jessie, because Jessie is also really well knowledged in alchemy and spagyrics, and his company Enki, I'm not sure if you've visited, I highly recommend you visit. Like, it's very, very high class products that they make, like very, very beautiful. And they have a farm, a growing farm that's all hand tilled, no machinery, and quite a diversity of medicine growing. And yeah, that episode, he shared some wisdom and shared some exciting news for changes for Enki. And yeah, in the herbal medicine arena, I've got to say, like, Enki is definitely the most sophisticated, kind of elegant, high class product line of herbal products that I believe that I've seen, and potent as well, with all that understanding of alchemy and spagyrics. And it's very inspiring. So I'll actually look forward to going down and learning with both him and Benjamin. And then the last episode was with Naomi Ingleton, who, it's funny, just these little threads. So that interview with Christopher, he mentioned Naomi and reminded me about this beautiful project that Naomi had started getting off the ground, but had then put to the side to focus on building her new house and farm. And I got in touch with Naomi and kind of helped motivate her to get it back happening again. Her Herb Connect, her website, amazing website that is a hub for herbal medicine growers to connect with, practitioners, medicine makers, retail outlets. And it's like a kind of classifieds place where you can post offers and wants. And it's like a really important piece in this goal that I'm working on, in having Australia become more self-sufficient with our herb production. So, because we need these kind of things in place. It's basically like an online marketplace. So if you know anybody that has excess produce to sell, get them onto Herb Connect and get in touch with Naomi Ingleton, get them listed up on there. It's really inspiring what she's creating. It's also going to be a bit of a hub to help farmers find mentors and teachers to help them to upskill and learn more about herb farming. And that's also like an area in Australia that's very lacking. And I think a lot of people don't decide to become herb farmers because there aren't enough teachers. There's not enough publicly available knowledge, especially about growing in the different microclimates and ecosystems that we have in Australia. So watch that space, like get in touch with her. Also, if you're looking for if you're looking for a bulk amounts of certain herbs, then jump onto that website. I'll put it in the show notes as well. And but something that we spoke about a lot in that episode is that we need to be willing to pay more for a good quality Australian organic, potent, fresh, vital medicine. We need to be willing to pay more. So that's just something, but then, you always kind of get what you pay for, right? It's the same thing like when you want to buy something locally handcrafted versus something that's been mass processed overseas and shipped in. It's the same in the herbal medicine arena. So and so Naomi's also coming on the tour. Naomi and Christopher are both coming on the tour, and Taj actually. and then not Val, but a staff member from Mullum Herbals is coming on the tour, Jerry. And so a good chunk of the people I've interviewed over this past solar cycle are actually coming on this herb farm tour, which is funny now that I think about it. And so I'm really excited to look ahead at this next solar cycle. It's like, wow, who's even going to be? I don't even know who I'm interviewing next. And on that note, if you know any amazing herb teachers that I haven't interviewed, then send me details about them, or get them to get in touch with me, because I'm always looking. My big goal with this segment of the podcast is to seek out the inspirational teachers and have well represented, like a diverse array representing different types of teachers and different I haven't had much like Ayurveda, or I haven't had any like traditional Chinese medicine perspective teachers. Like I feel like there's all these realms that are still yet to explore. And or someone that's focusing on homeopathy. Like there's actually so many different lineages of herbal medicine and different ways to work with herbs, and so therefore different teachers teaching those different methods and lineages. So I really welcome some fresh blood. Otherwise I might just keep interviewing the same people, because I could just spend the rest of my life talking to all these people. They're so interesting. And but I don't know what the journey ahead, the next year ahead holds. So I always welcome you. If when you're listening to this, like, I really would love feedback. What would you like to hear? Where would you like to see my segment go? This last solar cycle, I have tried having more of a, instead of talking just about herbal education, instead I'm working on, helping the people that I'm interviewing, like teasing out their knowledge and their wisdom and sharing that, and having the segment become more educational in nature. And so is that where we want to head it? Like, are there some themes you want us to explore? This is an empty canvas in a lot of ways, and we're kind of at this point where we're, there's no design ahead necessarily, but there are lots of changes coming in the podcast as a whole. There's a lot of changes happening, a lot of changes coming, and I'll talk about that in tomorrow's episode. So thank you everybody who listens to this, and thank you, thanks. There's no point doing this if you're not listening to it. So I really love feedback. I really love to hear stories, and we would also really love some testimonials, just putting that one out there. And you may or may not know that we have a Patreon. We have this space where you can pay as much as like a cup of tea a week to have access to all of this like exclusive like educational material from our interviewees, and discounts and all kinds of interesting things. And plus it helps to support the podcast. So we've been volunteers for the last 3 years. It's a big sacrifice for the whole team, but it's a sacrifice of love. And we really hope that with that Patreon, we can actually get to a point where we can be reimbursed for some of our time and have some of our costs covered. And at the moment, it pays for the podcast, which is great. So that doesn't have to come out of our pockets to be able to afford the platform and the basic kind of the digital realms of being able to create a podcast, which is quite a involved process. So really grateful to all of our existing Patreons there that are supporting us, and welcome you to go check that out. You can leave anytime. You can also do the whole buy me a cuppa thing, I don't know, or buy me a coffee, I think it's called. So in the show notes of all of our episodes, you can just give like a once-off donation of like a couple dollars or $5 or $10 or whatever you feel. And a little bit goes a long way, just helping to keep the wind in our sails and helping us to, keep going with what we're doing. So thank you for the people that have supported us in that way, with a kind word or some spare change. We're like podcast beggars on the street over here. But thank you everyone. And have a beautiful, beautiful spring equinox tomorrow, and I'm sure you'll hear from me again soon. Thank you so much for listening to the Herbal Education segment of the Elder Tree podcast. Stay tuned every new moon as I interview more wise and inspiring herbal educators and herbal lore keepers from around Australia. If you would like to go deeper with the podcast journey, you can become a member of the Elder Tree Trove on Patreon. Contribute as little as $2 per week to access free content from our interviewees, and also access discount codes and opportunities which are exclusive to our members. You can find us on Patreon by going to www.patreon.com/The Elder Tree. Other ways that you can assist us in getting our offerings out there to more people in Australia is by subscribing and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and on the Spotify app. Also, liking, commenting on and sharing our social media posts actually has a really positive impact and helps us to reach further with the message from all of the amazing herbal law keepers that we interview on this podcast. Thank you so much for your support and have a most wonderful day.
If